Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most surprisingly accurate scenes found in history movies.
Hey, Harvey. Hey, can I see you in my office for a minute?
Sure.
Number 30, The Trinity Test, Oppenheimer.
Want to head to base camp? Best of luck. Robert, try not to blow up the world.
While it's a little embellished for cinema, the Trinity sequence effectively conveys both the awe and terror of history's first ever nuclear detonation. The scene reflects historical accounts of the fateful day, with the pre-dawn stillness, the countdown, and the explosion itself all being consistent with eyewitness reports. That includes the blinding flash, the delayed shockwave, and the still silence that immediately follows the ignition. The giant steel tower is also an exact replica of the one that was found at the real Trinity test location. Heck, even the small details, like scientists shielding their eyes with welder's glass and lying prone away from the blast, mirror archival photographs and memoirs.
And now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Number 29, The Attack on Nancy Kerrigan, I, Tonya.
Remember, if your mind is blank, no one can pick up your vibes. Also, they can't identify you if they don't see your eyes. Go.
Despite receiving critical acclaim, I, Tonya has been criticized for its tone, with many people arguing that it's far too sympathetic towards Tonya Harding herself. That said, virtually everything about the attack on Nancy Kerrigan is accurate to the real event. She was actually attacked in Detroit while coming out of practice. She was actually struck in the leg with a baton by assailant Shane Stant, and Stant successfully escaped the arena without being caught. Furthermore, Kerrigan's anguished cries after being injured are recreated almost exactly as they appear in archival news footage. So at least they got a few things right.
Jeff, I'm telling you, forget the death threat. Some guy broke her knee.
Trying to claim one of 2 Olympic spots on Saturday night. She was practicing for that performance this afternoon. She was just leaving the ice. Reporter Danielle Scarborough was waiting to interview her.
Number 28, The Proposal, Walk the Line.
Sorry for the interruption, folks, but I gotta ask June here a question before we finish this song.
It may seem like Hollywood embellishment, but Johnny Cash actually did propose to June Carter in the middle of a concert. Cash and Carter were performing in London, Ontario on February 22, 1968, when Cash popped the major question. The movie accurately captures the spontaneity and persistence of the moment, with Cash proposing to Carter in the middle of the show and refusing to continue until she accepted. The only major difference is that he proposed after Jackson, not in the middle of it. And just as depicted on screen, Carter initially hesitated, but ultimately said yes, much to the delight of the people in attendance. They married in Kentucky a week later and remained so until Carter's death in 2003.
You're my best friend. Marry me.
Number 27, Walking Back into Camp, Everest. A thrilling survival tale, this movie depicts the famous Mount Everest disaster of May 1996, in which 8 climbers died after getting caught in a massive blizzard. Many more were caught but managed to survive, including, somehow, someway, Beck Weathers. His story occurs almost exactly as it's depicted in the movie, with Weathers being left for dead and laying overnight in the freezing cold without shelter. And, just like the film, he woke from his hypothermic coma and simply walked back into camp, amazing everyone who presumed him to be dead. And yes, his hands and face were actually black with frostbite, with one surgeon describing them as, quote, the hands of a dead man.
Helen, it's Mike here. Helen, do you copy?
Mike, come in.
Beck's still alive. He walked himself into camp. David Brashears and the IMAX team are going to get him down to Camp 1.
Thanks, Mike.
Number 26, The Death of Giles Corey, The Crucible.
Giles Corey, you are under arrest in contempt. Now decide. Either you give me the man's name who accuses Mr. Putnam, or you will sit in jail until you be forced to answer our questions.
Though not especially accurate to the real Salem witch trials, The Crucible has long been praised for its storytelling, and that's not to say there aren't accurate details. For example, the violent death of Giles Corey is taken almost verbatim from contemporary accounts. The farmer, like many around Salem, was accused of witchcraft, but he refused to enter a plea. In an effort to induce one, Corey was subjected to a brutal practice called peine fortadure, in which large stones are placed on the accused. This process is accurately depicted in the film, as is Corey's steadfast refusal to plead. In fact, his demand for more weight is absolutely real, and many accounts claim those were his final words.
What say you, Corey? More weight.
Number 25. The Ejection, First Man.
Winds are pretty rough today. Keep an eye on your yaw.
Copy.
Damien Chazelle's Neil Armstrong biopic dramatizes a few key details, but not his amazing escape from the lunar landing research vehicle. Armstrong was flying the aircraft on May 6, 1968, when the controls completely failed, owing to an unexpected depletion of helium. The astronaut was forced to eject from the spiraling aircraft, and he dramatically burst from the cockpit with his ejection seat. Meanwhile, the aircraft itself sped violently towards the ground and exploded into a huge ball of flame, while Armstrong floated by on his parachute. It makes for a startling cinematic image, proving that sometimes real life is just as dramatic as the movies.
The vehicle's not safe.
Number 24. The Gunfight at the OK Corral, Tombstone.
We're here to disarm you. Throw up your hands.
The famous gunfight at the OK Corral shootout is largely accurate to the historical event, capturing both its chaos and brevity. The film shows the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday confronting the cowboys in a tense standoff that erupts suddenly, reflecting accounts that the fight only lasted about 30 seconds. The movie accurately portrays the close range of the shootout, and key details, such as Billy Clanton continuing to fire despite being mortally wounded, align with eyewitness reports. The depiction of Virgil and Morgan being injured in the fight also mirrors historical records. While there are still embellishments, Tombstone depicts the gunfight in a far more realistic manner than what had come before in pop culture.
All right! All of you are under arrest.
I don't think I'll let you arrest us today, Behan.
Number 23. Shooting prisoners from the balcony, Schindler's List. Spielberg's iconic film is filled with unforgettable sequences, including one in which Amon Goeth shoots prisoners from a balcony. Survivors of the Plazov labor camp, including Helen Jonas Rosenzweig, testified that Goeth treated murder as routine entertainment and often used his rifle to pick off inmates arbitrarily. His house overlooked the camp, giving him a direct view of prisoners at work, and he was known to shoot whoever caught his eye on a particular day. The film's depiction of him firing without remorse captures the randomness and sadism of Goeth's real cruelty while emphasizing the dehumanization that Jews endured under Nazi command. The filmmaking is also brilliant, with the lack of music and fancy editing further adding to the dramatic realism. Number 22. The Plane Crash, Sully.
Cactus 1549, if we can get it for you. Do you want to try to land runway 13?
We are unable. We may end up in the Hudson.
New York City captured the country's attention on January 15, 2009, when pilot Chelsea Sullenberger landed his plane in the Hudson River. This landing is cinematically and realistically captured in Clint Eastwood's Sully. The film accurately portrays Sullenberger's losing both engines after striking some birds and deciding on an emergency water landing in the Hudson. Details such as Sully's calm communication with air traffic control, his quick descent, and the precise angle of impact reflect real cockpit recordings and NTSB reports. Even the evacuation scenes, including passengers standing on the wings in freezing conditions, match photographs and news footage, emphasizing authenticity throughout. If this scene was in a movie, we would never believe it. Well, it was in a movie. You know what we mean.
This is the captain. Brace for impact.
Number 21, cutting his arm off, 127 hours. Everyone was waiting for it, and Danny Boyle delivered. The arm-cutting sequence is kinetically directed and edited in Boyle's typical style, but it's also highly accurate to what really happened. Aaron Ralston really cut his own arm off with a dull pocket knife. He really did break his arm in half before doing so, and he really did encounter an extremely painful nerve that almost caused him to quit. The sound effect that Boyle uses to convey this pain will forever haunt our nightmares. And yes, Ralston really did take a picture of his severed arm before leaving. Ralston later called the movie, quote, so factually accurate, it is as close to a documentary as you can get and still be a drama.
Thank you.
Number 20, pardoning deserters, Lincoln. The pardons that Daniel Day-Lewis's Abraham Lincoln signs in this Steven Spielberg-directed biopic are based upon pardons the actual president gave to deserters.
What time is it?
It's 3:40 in the morning.
Don't let him pardon any more deserters.
Let him fight instead of being shot, said Honest Abe, in a letter he wrote to pardon one soldier, Michael Delaney, who had been sentenced to death for abandoning his Colorado regiment.
What good would it do him?
There was also William Scott, the sleeping sentinel, a soldier who Lincoln pardoned from a death sentence after he fell asleep at his post. The story almost makes us want to think twice before falling asleep on the job, just in case the president isn't there to save us. Number 19, Preaching Peace, Bloody Sunday. While this Paul Greengrass film isn't a documentary, it's still a startlingly convincing portrayal of the real-life Bloody Sunday massacre.
We are a part of a worldwide movement for civil freedoms.
In 1972, a Derry, Northern Ireland march against internment without trial took a turn for the tragic after the crowd was fired upon by British soldiers, ultimately claiming 14 lives.
Stand still! Stand still!
Greengrass's film captures the horrifying reality of this moment, with relatives of some victims praising its unflinching commitment to historical accuracy. While the horrors of the Troubles may be in the past, this film emphasizes they are anything but forgotten. Number 18, Did You Just Propose to Me? The Imitation Game. Alan Turing did actually propose to Joan Clark before putting an end to their engagement, like he does in this biopic.
Oh my God.
This makes sense.
Did you just propose to me?
Which is the logical thing to do.
Unlike in the film, however, Clark says that Turing didn't tell her that he was gay until the day after the proposal took place. This concerned her, but not to the point of breaking the engagement. She also noted that Turing called the engagement off because he knew it would fail in the end, not in order to protect Clark, as the film depicts it. The two also remained friends until Turing's death in 1954.
Will you marry me?
Number 17, Doris Miller gunning down planes, Pearl Harbor. Director Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor is far from a perfect film. It has faced its fair share of criticism over the years, not only for its questionable quality, but also for downplaying racism in the military. One thing the film did get right, however, is a scene where Doris Miller, portrayed by Cuba Gooding Jr., shoots down multiple enemy planes with an unattended machine gun. On December 7, 1941, Miller was in the middle of doing laundry for one of his ship's officers when a surprise attack from the Japanese occurred. During the attack, he assisted an officer in loading and firing an unattended aircraft gun. Without any orders or training, Miller then used a second gun to shoot down at least one aircraft. For his heroism, he became the first black sailor to receive the Navy Cross. Number 16. Hugh Glass survives the bear attack, The Revenant. It may seem unlikely that one man would stand a chance against a giant mother grizzly, but a version of woodsman Hugh Glass's showdown with his furry foe really did take place. Glass took part in an expedition in 1823, and while searching for game on his own, he crossed paths with a grizzly bear and her two cubs. However, accounts do differ as to whether Glass took on the bear on his own or if he was saved by other members of his party. In any case, Glass was left severely injured, with a broken leg, ripped scalp, a punctured throat, and multiple gashes. Ouch. Number 15. Evacuation from the beach. Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan's World War II epic depicts the evacuation of Dunkirk in a way that's pretty consistent with how history tells it.
No French. English only past this point.
The British Expeditionary Force was deployed to France to assist in their defense against the German army. But as German forces swept the country, orders were given for an evacuation of Dunkirk, leading the British army to desperately race for the coast. In this heart-racing film, we follow the events through the eyes of Private Tommy Jensen as he struggles to reach safety, joining a group of soldiers also desperately trying to evacuate. Number 14. Attack on Bin Laden's compound. Zero Dark 30. While Zero Dark 30 courted some controversy for its violent depiction of CIA activity, it still received widespread acclaim, including 5 Oscar nominations.
We've just crossed the border, now entering Pakistan.
Pakistani comms, no chatter.
Even in the face of controversy, director Catherine Bigelow asserted that everything shown on screen was representative of first-hand accounts. But the climactic assault on Osama bin Laden's compound is what really stands out.
Eyes on target.
This scene in particular was researched meticulously and filmed to be as accurate as possible. This was achieved with the assistance of Defense Secretary Leon Panetta, who provided the filmmakers with exclusive access to classified information about the raid.
Prayer room's clear.
Number 13. Be Free or Die. Harriet. Underground Railroad leader Harriet Tubman is depicted in this biopic using a gun to threaten a group of escaping slaves who are too frightened to cross a river.
We got an old woman and a baby with us. Oh, we ain't going in that river. Come on, y'all.
I say we are.
In reality, Tubman really did carry firearms, both for protection and for intimidation towards slaves who might get cold feet mid-escape. Director Cassie Lemons has spoken on how adamant Tubman was about this. "You be free or die," says Tubman in the film, a quote that can actually be traced back to her in real life.
Oh my God. Oh.
Number 12. Pinching Nanny. The King's Speech. In a particularly emotional moment from this Best Picture winner, King George VI tells his speech therapist, Lionel Logue, a story from his childhood regarding an abusive nanny.
Who were you closest to in your family? Nannies? Not my first nanny. She loved David, hated me.
History professor Charles Carlton says that the tale is based on the king's actual childhood experience.
She'd pinch me, so I'd cry and be handed back to her immediately.
Not only that, but growing up, the young Prince Albert was made to write with his right hand despite being left-handed, and forced to wear painful braces on his legs, allegedly to strengthen his knocked knees. It's a devastating reminder of how even those born into royalty aren't exempt from the pains of existence. Number 11. Malcolm X Assassination. Malcolm X. A Spike Lee joint with a remarkable starring performance from Denzel Washington, Malcolm X was over 20 years in the making.
We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
A sprawling, epic biopic running well over 3 hours. The film doesn't get everything right, but when it comes to the circumstances surrounding the assassination, it pretty closely follows the FBI records.
Get your hand out of my pocket! Get out of my pocket, nigga!
While preparing to deliver a speech at New York's Audubon Ballroom, Malcolm X is shot multiple times by 3 culprits. Even if you know about his death before watching this film, it's still incredibly impactful to see it dramatized in such an uncompromising fashion. Number 10. Get the girl to check the numbers. Hidden Figures. It was astronaut John Glenn who insisted that mathematician Katherine Johnson calculate his trajectory to orbit the Earth before he would launch, trusting his safety and success to her numbers rather than those of the NASA computer.
Let's get the girl to check the numbers.
The girl?
Yes, sir.
You mean Catherine?
Yes, sir. The smart one.
This would get Johnson's career path back on track and change history. Hidden Figures does merge some characters together, but this scene they attributed correctly, and even got Glenn's wording right, despite his referring to a 44-year-old as the girl.
After years of waiting and months of delays, Colonel Glenn is finally ready for that spaceflight that we've been waiting for with so much anticipation.
In fairness, he did also refer to her as the smart one, While this scene was spot on, it happened in reality between a day and a half and 3 days before the launch, not mere minutes as the subsequent scene would imply.
The launch window is a go. The landing coordinates match.
Well, that is very good news, Al. It's a little hard to trust something you can't look in the eyes.
That's right, Colonel. Catherine did manage to calculate a few decimal points further than that hunk of metal.
Well, I will take every digit you got.
Number 9. Little Round Top, Gettysburg. When it comes to accurate cinematic depictions of war, especially in terms of real strategic considerations, nothing seems to top 1993's Gettysburg, and in particular, the Battle of Little Round Top scene.
Sir, half a minute down. Most of the rest are wounded. The left is too thin, sir.
How are we fixed for ammunition?
It's almost gone. Sir, we're running out.
The set resembles the actual battlefield, and ammunition really was at a premium for both sides, which was not only mentioned but later shown, and the Union Army did use a wheel strategy, which clearly worked. This wasn't a long battle, but an effective one, and it garnered a 9 out of 10 historical accuracy rating from historian Gary Edelman.
Colonel, we watched from our position above. It's the damnedest thing I ever saw. May I shake your hand, sir?
Number 8. Bridge Crossing, Bridge of Spies. This may be the first time a Tom Hanks movie appears on this list, but it certainly won't be the last.
Well, let's go. You can stay here, darling.
Not likely. Open the gate.
This Steven Spielberg suspense drama gets the overall look and feel of Cold War Germany, as well as several key historic events correct, and earns its historical thriller descriptor. However, the climactic scene of a prisoner exchange on Glienicke Bridge, connecting Potsdam with what was West Berlin, got an 8 out of 10 historical accuracy score from Cold War historian James Hirschberg.
We exchange now or we go home?
We're waiting for another man?
Yep.
You want him too?
I want him.
We can see why. The tension, the players involved, and how everyone on both sides behaved was all very appropriate for 1962, when exchanges like this happened but weren't commonplace. Number 7. Subway Singing, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. When a film takes some liberties with historical fact, it's nice to know that one of the most heartwarming scenes in it happened as depicted.
And right now, that's doing a profile on one of our nation's heroes.
Who?
Mr. Rogers.
As in the hokey kids show
As
guy?
in the beloved children's television host, yes.
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is based on Tom Juneau's Can You Say Hero, an article he wrote for Esquire about the time he spent with Mr. Rogers himself, Fred Rogers. The film changes some things, including Juneau's name to Lloyd Vogel, but the subway singing scene wasn't made up or altered.
Hey, Mr. Rogers! It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor.
According to Juneau, a group of students recognized Rogers on the New York City subway, and instead of asking for autographs, started singing. It was a loving tribute that clearly brought a smile to the late icon's face.
Won't you please won't you be my neighbor?
Number 6. Go Down as Gentlemen, Titanic. We admit it, most people watch this movie for the Jack and Rose love story, and maybe the Celine Dion song. Aside from the broad strokes of a supposedly unsinkable ship sinking after it hit an iceberg, we're not really looking for historical accuracy in the minutiae. But that doesn't mean there aren't some gems to be found.
All right, boys, like the captain said, nice and cheery, so there's no panic.
As the Titanic is going down, we see a group of men dressed in tuxedos, offered life jackets and a spot on the lifeboats, presumably due to their wealth. One man rejects the offer with a total badass line.
No, thank you. We are dressed in our best and are prepared to go down as gentlemen.
But we would like a brandy.
According to multiple eyewitnesses, that actually happened, and the man was Benjamin Guggenheim, a wealthy American businessman. The scene is cut in some versions, but really shouldn't be. Number 5. Harvey Milk assassination/prediction. Milk. On November 27, 1978, former San Francisco City Supervisor Dan White shot and killed Mayor George Moscone.
You can't take this away from me.
Dan,
you can't.
Look, you made a decision. You know, you made the decision.
He then walked down the hall and ran into the current supervisor and gay rights icon, Harvey Milk. He calmly asked Milk to follow him to an empty office and then murdered him too. The 2008 biopic Milk shows this sequence of events as it happened, casual brutality intact.
Where is everyone? Doesn't anyone give a damn?
It follows this up with actor Sean Penn recreating a real recording Milk made, essentially predicting his own assassination and urging supporters to rise up. This plays over a recreated scene of the vigil that followed Milk's assassination.
I ask for the movement to continue because it's not about personal gain, and it's not about ego, and it's not about power. It's about the us's out there.
Number 4. Losing her wedding ring. Apollo 13. When a film gets so much of the big picture stuff true to history, you can forgive it for improvising some of the smaller character moments.
Thinking there might be a slight change in destination.
Really?
Maybe say the moon.
But that wasn't needed here. Not only did Ron Howard nail the sets, period costumes, and details of the space mission itself, he took an anecdote the real Marilyn Lovell told him and put it on screen.
I just don't think I can go through all that. Just be glad when this one's over.
Well, you're gonna miss a hell of a show.
On the morning her husband Jim launched into space, she lost her wedding ring down the drain in her hotel room as she was showering, just as we see Kathleen Quinlan do in the movie. While it felt like an omen for what was to come, she did get the ring back after her husband safely returned to Earth.
Our mission was called a successful failure, in that we returned safely but never made it to the moon.
Number 3. The Bunker Downfall. You're probably familiar with this scene, or at least a version of it, even if you haven't watched 2004's Downfall.
Dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen.
Mein Führer, Steiner konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgt.
An irate Adolf Hitler yelling at his generals while looking over some maps has been turned into countless parody videos, replacing the English subtitles to make Hitler yell about everything from a sports team losing to reviews of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Schütze! Das hier ist Wagen! Sie meinen Befehl zu widersetzen! So weit ist das also gekommen.
Ironically, these memes are using one of the most accurate depictions of the final days of one of history's most reviled figures. While there are no eyewitness accounts of the full rant, the dictator's temperament and the subject matter discussed in the scene are all spot on, according to people who were there and listening from outside the room.
Es ist unmöglich, unter diesen Umständen zu führen. Es ist aus. Der Krieg.
Number 2. D-Day Landing. Saving Private Ryan. Steven Spielberg's war epic is a work of historical fiction, setting a story inspired by real events against the backdrop of World War II.
Stand out of your weapons. Keep those actions clear. I'll see you on the beach.
So it wouldn't make any lists for overall historical accuracy. However, the film opens with one of the most accurate depictions of what the landing on Omaha Beach on D-Day was like.
Who's in command here? You are, sir!
The look and feel of the scene were so visceral that it brought real veterans at a screening to tears. It didn't get everything right, notably the amount of armor that reached the beach. Also, 1975's Overlord has a more accurate depiction of the same event, but that mixed in actual archive footage.
This is a bloody nightmare. I feel sick. Watch out, we're going in!
For a fully recreated cinematic rendition, this one can't be beat. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. Flight instructor spots Japanese squadrons. Tora, Tora, Tora. This 1970 movie showing the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor from both sides is historically accurate pretty much from start to finish.
According to this latest intercept, Tokyo wants to conclude negotiations with us no later than November 29, after which, and I quote, things are automatically going to happen.
But one scene stands out by paying attention to a seemingly minute detail. A flight instructor on a training run with a trainee is the first to encounter the attacking Japanese aircraft. It plays like a bit of invented comedy mixed into the historical drama, but it really happened.
I'm taking over, Davey!
Cornelia Clark Fort did spot and narrowly evade the squadron just before the attack started. She would go on to join the Women's Air Force service pilots and sadly die in a mid-air collision while on duty 2 years after the near miss depicted in the movie.
After logging more than 1,100 flight hours, Cornelia's adventure in the sky ended as she entered her place in U.S. military history as the first female pilot to die while on active duty.
Do you appreciate the authenticity, or do you want a bit more dramatic flourishing? Let us know in the comments below.
Morgan, hold quiet now.